All right, so get this. Today, we're taking the deep dive into the Law of One,
Okay.
but with like a super unexpected twist.
Oh.
We're going through Reddit.
Huh. So we're going to be exploring the law of one through the
Yeah.
lens of Reddit.
Yeah, basically, we're going to see how everyday people are
That's a cool idea.
grappling with these really complex ideas from the Law of One, and it gets pretty wild, let me tell you.
I bet it's like getting a cosmic reality check, you know?
It really is.
Seeing how these big, profound ideas actually play out
Yeah.
in the wild world of the internet.
Exactly.
I love it.
So we've got the top 12 Our LawOfOne Reddit posts from all of 2024, and we're going to go through them one by one
Right, listen.
and see what we can learn.
I'm excited.
Okay, so post number 1, this one really kind of hit me because it's someone talking about a really intense psychedelic experience.
Oh, wow.
And they're like wondering if it connects to the Law of One at all.
Okay.
And they even say it felt more real than anything I've experienced in this life,
Wow.
which honestly kind of gives me chills just reading that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty powerful statement, right? To have an experience that feels more real than
Yeah.
literally anything you've ever known.
It really is.
It makes you wonder what they tapped into.
Exactly. And it's like, is this something that the Law of One even talks about? Like,
Yeah.
were they having a glimpse into a different density or something?
That's a great question. It's interesting because while the Law of One material, you know, the stuff from Rob, doesn't really get into
Oh, yeah.
specifics about psychedelics,
Right.
it does talk about how
Yeah.
every entity, like every being, kind of receives information in a way that's appropriate to their level of consciousness.
Right.
So maybe, just maybe, this experience was like kind of pushing this person, you know,
Yeah.
to seek out a deeper understanding.
Like a catalyst.
Exactly, like a catalyst.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And you know what else I find interesting about this post is
What?
it really shows how diverse the encounters with the Law of One can be.
Yeah.
You've got people having these like
Yeah.
really profound mystical experiences, but then you also have people asking really practical everyday questions
right.
about how to apply these principles. Like how to live a more service-oriented life. It's all there on Reddit.
It really runs the gamut.
It does. It's fascinating.
Okay, well, let's move on to post number 2.
Okay.
This one has a very different kind of vibe to it.
Right.
It's a little bit more apprehensive, maybe even fearful.
Okay.
The poster is reading session 53 of book 3, and they're clearly struggling with this whole concept of negativity and how it fits into the idea of free will.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that session. It gets pretty intense when they start talking about the Orion group and psychic attacks.
Right. It's like one of those sessions that you're kind of
It can be a little scary.
holding your breath a little bit as you're reading it.
It really is.
Especially if you're new to the Law of One, you know.
Especially, yeah,
It's a lot to take in.
it's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you think this poster is like? What are they getting at,
Well, I think it's understandable that they'd be feeling a little freaked out. I mean,
Yeah.
when you read about these psychic attacks and how the Orion group kind of manipulates people, it can make you question,
It's like, are they out there?
is this stuff really happening? Am I safe?
Exactly, yeah.
Right. And I think it's easy to get caught up in those fears, especially if you're taking those descriptions
Yeah.
too literally.
Right.
But what's important to remember, and I think what this post kind of highlights,
Yep.
is that the Law of One presents a much more complex and nuanced perspective on negativity
Okay.
than just like good versus evil, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about fearing these negative forces,
Okay.
but understanding their role in this grand cosmic dance.
So it's more like everything has a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Even the stuff that seems, you know, dark and scary ultimately serves the creator's purpose.
So it's like a bigger picture kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's about seeing the bigger picture
Okay.
and understanding that even negativity
Okay.
ultimately contributes to the evolution of consciousness.
That's a mind bender for sure.
It is. It definitely challenges our
I know it's just
conventional ways of thinking
Yeah.
about good and evil
It really does.
and right and wrong.
Okay, so how does this actually play out in real life? Like, how do we see this idea of negativity as a catalyst for evolution in our everyday experiences?
That's where I think post number 3 comes in.
All right, post number 3, what do we got?
This one is super interesting because it takes us from like the cosmic realm of psychic attacks to a very real world issue,
Huh.
minimum wage.
Wait, minimum wage.
Yeah.
How does that connect to the law of one?
I know, right? It seems like a
Yeah.
total left turn.
It really does.
But bear with me.
Okay, I'm listening.
So this post, it basically proposes this business model called ONA. It stands for Our Next Arc.
Okay.
And the idea
I
is...
like it already.
I know, right?
Our next arc, ONA. Nice.
It's pretty catchy, and the idea is to ensure that everyone can meet their basic needs on a single income. So on the surface, it's about,
yeah,
economic justice and fairness.
Right, right.
But if you look a little deeper, it really reflects a core principle of the law of one,
Which is
service to others.
Oh, interesting. Oh, great.
Right? It's about recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being,
right,
and ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
So even though this post isn't like directly quoting Ra or anything,
right,
the intention behind it aligns with the law of one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a practical example of how these principles can manifest in the real world.
I see that.
It's not just about these highfalutin concepts.
Right, right.
It's about how we treat each other.
Yeah.
It's about creating systems that support everyone's well-being.
I like that a lot.
So it makes you wonder, right? Could something like ONA, like a system that prioritizes economic justice, actually be a spiritual catalyst?
Whoa, that's a good question.
Right. Could it help people to consider the needs of others and act more in accordance with the law of one?
I don't know, but it's certainly something to think about.
It is. It's definitely food for thought.
It is.
And it shows how these principles can be applied in all sorts of unexpected ways.
Even in something like, business and economics.
Exactly. The law of one is everywhere.
It is.
If you know how to look for it.
You got that right. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah, we were talking about how the law of one shows up in all sorts of unexpected places.
It really does, like even on Reddit.
Exactly. And you know what? I think this next post number 4, really drives that point home.
Okay, what's this one about?
So it's about Ra's personal experiences.
Interesting.
Like the poster is looking for guidance. They want to see some examples from Ra's own journey to better understand how spiritual evolution actually works.
Right, like they want to know what the path looks like from someone who's already walked it.
Exactly, exactly.
But I think, what's interesting about this is Ra actually talks about why they can't share too many specifics about their past.
Right.
It's in session 64 of book 3, I believe.
Okay.
And they basically say it would be a form of direct advice, which could mess with people's free will.
Right, because if you're given the answers, you don't really learn, do you?
Exactly. It's like giving someone the answer to a riddle.
Spoils the fun.
Instead of letting them figure it out for themselves.
Right. Makes sense.
So it's really about respecting that each person has their own unique path.
I can see. Okay, so what about post number 5?
All right, post number 5, this one's kind of a head-scratcher.
Oh?
Yeah, it's about the concept of a crystallized being and its role in healing.
And what are they getting at exactly?
Well, it seems like the poster is trying to understand, the mechanics of how healing works in the law of one framework.
Gotcha.
And they're drawing a parallel between the pyramid shape.
Right, known for its energy.
Exactly, known for its energy-focusing properties. And a crystallized healer.
Interesting.
So they're kind of seeing both as conduits for energy, right?
I can see that.
But what's interesting is that Ra actually clarifies this in session 66 of book 3.
Okay, what do they say?
Well, they say that a crystallized healer doesn't work in the same way as a physical pyramid.
Okay, so it's not about, creating a physical structure.
No.
But more about the healer's ability to channel energy.
Exactly. It's about their own internal alignment and their ability to channel those higher vibrations.
So it's like they become a conduit for the energy to flow through.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It's a really powerful example of how
intention and alignment can create profound healing.
Makes sense.
Right. It's not about some external tool or technology. It's about the power of consciousness.
So it's like we all have that potential within us.
Yeah, I think
to be healers in that way.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of cultivating that connection.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, what's next?
All right, so post number 6 kind of takes us back to this idea of psychic attacks. But this time it's about protecting the instrument.
Okay, right. The person who channeled the Law of One material.
Exactly.
So they're concerned about the instrument's safety.
Exactly. They're like, how do we protect this person who's putting themselves out there, to channel this information?
Yeah, that's a really important consideration. I mean, channeling is no joke,
It's
right?
serious business.
Yeah, it's serious business, and it can make you vulnerable,
Totally.
especially when you're dealing with these higher forces.
So what does Ra say about protecting the instrument? Well, this is where it gets really interesting
Okay.
because when they're asked about how to, like, eliminate the negative effects of these attacks,
Right.
their answer is pretty stark.
Which is?
They say the only way is to stop channeling altogether.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's in session 62 of book 3.
Okay.
And they basically say that when you're radiating love and light,
Yeah.
it can make you a target.
Right, like a beacon.
Exactly, for those negative entities who want to disrupt that flow of energy.
It's like putting yourself on the front lines of a spiritual battle.
In a sense, yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. It shows you the level of commitment and
Mhm.
sacrifice involved in this kind of work.
Okay, so if stopping channeling is the only way to, like, fully protect yourself,
Yeah.
what other options are there?
Well, Ra talks about the importance of maintaining a strong connection with the self,
Okay.
with the creator, and with positive forces.
Right, like surrounding yourself with good vibes.
Exactly. And practices like meditation, prayer, rituals,
Mm.
those can help strengthen your energy field.
Like building up your spiritual immune system.
Yeah, exactly. It's like creating a shield of protection.
Makes sense.
And I think, another important point that Ra emphasizes is the power of our thoughts and emotions.
Oh, right, right.
Because if we're dwelling in fear
Yeah.
or negativity,
Creates an opening.
it creates an opening.
That those attacks to come in.
Exactly. So it's really about cultivating a mindset
I'll
of
give you
faith,
that.
courage.
And self-love.
Yes, and knowing that we are ultimately connected
Oh,
to a
shit.
source of infinite power and protection.
I love that.
Right. It's not about being naive or ignoring the challenges,
Yeah.
but it's about recognizing that we have the inner strength
Okay.
and the support to overcome them.
I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Sounds good.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. It's amazing how much wisdom is
Oh.
packed into these Reddit
Oh,
posts.
I know, right? And we're only halfway through.
I know. I can't wait to see what else we uncover.
Me neither. All right, we'll be back in a bit to dive into the rest of these Reddit revelations.
Okay, sound good.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle the last stretch of these Reddit posts. And I gotta say, my mind is already blown wide open from what we've covered so far.
I know, right? It's amazing how these seemingly random Reddit threads can lead us down these
Yeah.
deep rabbit holes of Law of One wisdom.
I know. It's pretty wild. So, are you ready to dive back in?
I am, absolutely. What's next on the agenda?
Okay, so this next post number 13, it really kind of hit home for me because it's someone who's like wrestling with a really intense psychedelic experience.
Oh, okay.
And they're wondering if it could like somehow be connected to the Law of One.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they even ask if psychedelics were involved in the right contact itself, which I thought was a pretty bold question.
It is, but I think it reflects a very human desire to understand
Yeah,
how these altered states of consciousness can connect to spiritual growth.
totally. And it's like when you have an experience that really shakes you to your core like that,
Yeah.
you want to make sense of it, you know?
Absolutely. You want to see how it fits into your understanding
Yeah,
of the universe and your place in it.
yeah.
So what do you think, like, is there any connection between psychedelics and the Law of One?
Well, it's tricky because
Yeah.
the Law of One material itself
Yeah.
doesn't explicitly mention psychedelics.
Right.
But it does talk about the importance of each entity receiving information in a way
Okay.
that's useful to their current level of understanding.
Like that quote from session 60, book 3.
Yes, exactly. So perhaps this experience,
Yeah.
even if it was induced by an external substance,
Yeah.
served as a catalyst for this individual, you know?
Okay, like a stepping stone.
Yeah, stepping stone on their path.
I can see that.
A way of kind of nudging them towards those deeper truths.
Right. And it's like, it doesn't really matter how you get there, as long as you're, like, open to the journey. Exactly. The universe works in mysterious ways.
That's for sure.
And it's always trying to guide us
Yeah.
towards those experiences.
Okay, so what about the poster's question about the right contact itself?
Oh, right.
Like, were psychedelics involved in that?
Well, based on everything we know, the answer is no.
Right.
Carla, the channel, entered into a very deep trance state
Yeah.
through meditation and focused intention,
Right.
and that allowed Ra to communicate through her.
Makes sense. Okay, so moving on to post number 14. This one's about sexual energy transfer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and like potential blockages in that process.
Hmm.
So it seems like the poster's, trying to understand how to create a more harmonious and balanced
Yeah.
exchange of energy with their partner.
Yeah, that's a topic that comes up a lot
It
in
does,
relation to the law of one.
and it's a tricky one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sexual energy is incredibly powerful.
Right, and it can be used in both positive and negative ways.
Exactly. And Rod talks about how the way we channel this energy.
Can
Yeah.
have a big impact on our spiritual growth.
I remember them talking about the importance of the green ray energy center, the heart chakra.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about approaching intimacy with an open heart.
Right. With love and respect.
Yes, and with the desire for mutual growth and expansion.
And I think what's really interesting is how they talk about how, like, fear,
Yeah.
possessiveness,
Insecurity.
yeah, those lower vibrational emotions.
All of that can create blockages.
Exactly. It's like they interfere with the flow.
Exactly. They create a kind of energetic static.
So it's about, like, clearing those blockages so the energy can flow freely.
Exactly. When we can let go of those fears and insecurities
Yeah.
and approach intimacy from a place of pure love,
Yeah.
then it becomes much more transformative.
So it's not just about the physical act.
No, it's about the energy exchange.
It's about the connection.
Yes, and the intention behind it.
I like that. Okay. On to post number 15. This one's about elementals and other non-physical entities.
Oh, wow. We're getting to the unseen realms now. The poster's asking about how to cleanse their space and create a more harmonious environment.
Yeah, that's a common concern, especially for people who are new to this kind of...
It can be scary stuff.
Yeah, it can be, but the law of one encourages us to approach these realms with respect and awareness.
Okay.
Right? Recognizing that we share this planet with a whole bunch of beings,
Yeah.
some of whom we can't even see.
So it's like we're not alone, even if we can't perceive them.
Exactly. And Ra talks about how these entities
Yeah.
can be influenced by our thoughts and emotions.
Okay, interesting.
Right. So if we're creating a harmonious and loving environment,
Yeah,
we're more likely to attract those benevolent entities.
right. And if we're dwelling in negativity,
Then we might attract entities
Sure.
that reflect those lower vibrations.
so it's like our energy creates a certain kind of, I don't know, atmosphere
Exactly. An energetic signature.
that attracts like-minded beings.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so how do we cleanse our space then? Like, how do we clear out that negative energy?
Well, Ra recommends a few different practices, like smudging with sage,
Okay, yeah.
using sound vibrations like chanting,
Right.
or singing bowls,
Okay.
and even just like filling the space with love and light through meditation.
I've definitely felt a difference after smudging my place. It's like a weight lifted or something.
Yeah, it can be really powerful.
For sure, for sure.
And it's important to remember that it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's not just a one-time thing.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that mindful awareness
Right.
of our energy and making choices that align with our highest intentions.
I love that. Okay, so on to the final Reddit post of the day.
All right, bring it on.
Post number 16. This one's a real deep dive.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's about the nature of reality and the role of illusion in our spiritual journey.
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
It is. The poster's asking whether this whole concept of a true self is just another illusion.
That's a fascinating question.
It really is. Like, are we just peeling back layers of the cosmic onion forever?
That's a great way to put it. You know, the law of one talks about how all is one.
Right. We're all part of the creator.
Yeah, and in that sense, there's no real separation,
Okay.
no true self that exists apart from the whole.
Right, right. So we're all just like facets of the same diamond.
Yeah, I like that, reflecting different aspects of the divine light.
But then how do we make sense of our own individual experience, you know? Like our unique personalities and desires?
Well, that's where the concept of illusion comes in.
Okay.
The law of one suggests that our experience of separation,
Right.
our individuality, it's all a necessary illusion within third density.
Okay.
It allows us to exercise free will,
Right.
to make choices, to learn and grow through contrast.
So it's like a cosmic game of hide and seek.
Yeah, exactly. We forget our true nature in
Of
order
what?
to rediscover it
I like that.
through experience.
So as we evolve, we gradually peel back those layers of illusion.
Yeah,
And we start to see that we're all connected.
exactly. We move towards a greater awareness of our unity with the Creator.
But we still retain our sense of individuality, right?
Right. It's not that the self is an illusion,
Okay.
but our perception of it
Yeah.
is limited
Oh, wait.
by the filters of our current density.
So as we grow, our understanding of self expands.
Exactly, it becomes more inclusive.
It's like the true self is always there, but it's hidden behind these veils of illusion.
Exactly. And as we awaken, we start to see through those veils.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And, it really brings us full circle to what we've been talking about today.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
These Reddit posts, they show us how people are wrestling with these profound ideas,
Yeah.
trying to make sense of their own experiences.
It's inspiring, really,
It is. It really
to
is.
see so many people engaging with these teachings.
And you know what? It just goes to show that the Law of One, it's not just some ancient text.
No, it's a living philosophy.
Yeah, it's a guide for our lives.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing I hope people take away from this deep dive,
What's that?
it's that the Law of One is about continuous learning and growth.
Yeah.
It's about awakening to our true nature as beings of love and light.
Beautifully said. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure into the heart of the Law of One.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep opening your hearts to the infinite possibilities that lie within.
Absolutely. And until next time.
May you walk in love and light.